Greetings, my friends. This is your buddy Alexander, and I'm here with Dream of the Week, episode 4, which I call Sky High. Now let's start off with the dream. This dream begins as a fairly ordinary one. I'm in the house I grew up in as a kid, an ordinary residential home. At first I'm alone, getting up, doing ordinary household activities, checking out some old projects of mine at computer, and more. This is a common dream location for me. Soon my mother is present, and she tells me that she saw me earlier that morning at a real estate closing in the nearby town of Schaumburg. But wait, I realize I don't do real estate closings. It's not my job. Also, I slept in that day, so I couldn't have been in Schaumburg. The thought comes to my mind. Did I just experience bivocation? I have recently been reading about it in a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi, and even on an internet forum. This sparks a realization. I'm in a dream. Lucidity comes rapidly to me, along with a surge of empowerment. I exit the house, and by doing so, exit the framework of the dream. I find myself fully aware of myself and of my dreaming state as I merge into a verdant forest. Yet I can still feel several dreamlike presences around me that identify as fellow metaphysical students, aspects of myself. I fly upward, feeling the desire for freedom and liberation coursing through my being. Up and I go, zooming at a rapid pace until I see the tree line vanishing below me. I float up and through the clouds until I achieve such a height that I can literally see the curvature of the earth and know that it is round. It is a beautiful sight, ultra real and as vivid, if not more so, than anything seen in the physical body. Then, I look up to the skies and see a cluster of immense structures, mixed between futuristic buildings and enormous starships. A thought comes to my mind that these are the motherships of a benevolent alien group, here to watch over our Earth. Then, I wake, and not in the physical, but rather in another dream body. I'm back in the house, and have lost some lucidity. I reach for my dream journal, but it seems like another book instead, a business ledger for my family, with lines talking about large bonuses. I reach for another book, and it is the dream journal, but it's mostly full, and I struggle to find room in it. Finally, I snap back awake into my physical body. The dream ends. Now let's talk about this thing. Right off the bat, I'm going to say this is actually a fairly common occurrence for me. This is a dream of a familiar surrounding, which is the house I grew up in as a kid. And as I talked about in my article on the website about dream houses, a location that's become this familiar to me is basically a launch pad for lucidity, for becoming aware in the dream that you're dreaming. And I'm going to detail these exact techniques in a later episode. But basically, when I become lucid, often my first impulse is to leave the dream and to go exploring in this vast area that you might call your non-local dream space, or that some people might call out-of-body experience, or the astral, or even different realities. I've been doing this for a while now, in one form or another, since I've been a child, and it's kind of become this familiar experience to me, and yet, I gotta say, there's nothing more beautiful, there's nothing more exhilarating and real and powerful, liberating than flying up into the skies. I'll talk to you about some of the basic symbols here if you want to look at it from that analytical point of view, as if the dream were a message from your higher self or your higher consciousness. Basically, this dream house, this house I grew up in as a kid, can be viewed as a symbol for my mind. And since it's a very familiar house, a house I grew up in as a child, it's a house my parents still live in, but I don't physically anymore. I could view it as a familiar state of mind, an old type of state of mind that I've had since childhood, and it's still kind of with me to this day at some moments. Like I said before, since it's so familiar, I quickly become aware that it is a dream. And of course, you could say my mother's presence in the dream is a symbol of an authority figure, and thus the superconscious mind, or Godhead, or divinity, or however you want to view that. It's difficult for me to go there sometimes because I dream so much of my mother, because she's a person I've been close to in my life. My father as well. So, maybe I could say that God is always with me, or divinity is always with me. But even if you don't want to view it as that, that's fine. Now, the bilocation is an interesting thing. To my knowledge, I haven't physically bilocated, which is being in two places simultaneously. It's a power that many people claim to have experienced throughout history, from saints to powerful yogis and gurus to other folks like that. Some psychics have had the experience. Certainly had it in the dream state or in out-of-body states, but not physically. But admittedly, I have been reading about it. So that was probably triggered by me reading about bilocation from a couple different sources over the couple days preceding. So I'm not going to read too much into that one. But it's interesting. But basically, that kind of jolts me and makes me realize that, yeah, I'm in a dream. And when that happens, what always happens, I feel this exhilarating feeling like, yeah, this is a dream. I could do what I want. I'm a god here, kind of thing. And so I exit. And after I exit the dream is that forest. Kind of, some people might say, is symbolic of the subconscious territory. Vast and natural and beautiful. I find it interesting that I rise up and up beyond the tree line. Because sometimes in dreams when I fly, when I'm not that lucid, that the tree line can be a bit of a barrier. Like there's this almost invisible force which makes it hard to fly past a tree. Or past the top of the tree, rather. As if I wasn't fully flying, but rather I'm kind of limited to grabbing onto the tree and kind of pole vaulting myself upward. That's when I'm not fully aware. Here I was very aware. And I find that my degree of awareness in a dream corresponds to how well I fly. And so I end up at this very beautiful point here, above our immediate atmosphere, to the point where I could see the curvature of the earth, which is just absolutely gorgeous, let me tell you. It's this feeling of being above all the petty little garbage below. This feeling really being myself. Watching things, of observing them, of kind of being master of my surroundings. That's what it feels like to fly, to have full control over the self, full control over your impulses, your desires, and your environment. So I dwell in this for a moment, and before I go any further, I will mention the other presences that were with me here, which are, I can tell at this point, different aspects of myself, represented by a couple students fellow students that I've studied metaphysical topics with. I knew this wasn't really them in the literal sense, but often this is a common occurrence in these dreams, even lucid ones, and even these out-of-body experiences, where you could feel presences around you, which you kind of know are about you. So different aspects of myself present here. Ones that are spiritual seekers along with me. And then, of course, there are those alien ships. These gigantic motherships with this beautiful, elegant style of architecture. Now, I admit, I like to write science fiction. I like to watch science fiction. And I'm absolutely fascinated by all that material out there on UFO disclosure. The shows like Ancient Aliens. The kind of stuff that David Wilcock and Corey Goode like to talk about on their show. All these insiders revealing their contact with ETs. I'd like nothing more than to believe that, yeah, this is legitimate contact. I really saw these ships, these gigantic motherships out there. And you know what? That could be the case. I don't know. I have not encountered extraterrestrials to my memory while in my physical body. I haven't had that face-to-face contact. Some people have claimed that. I don't claim that. Not at this point. When I do, you people will be some of the first to know. But for now, I've got to say that it was a wonderful and beautiful sight. And if I were to look at this symbolically using what they call the universal language of mind, they say that when you see a UFO or flying saucer or anything like that in a dream, it's symbolic for what they call the inner level bodies, the bodies beyond the physical, like the etheric or the astral or the mental body or the causal body, even the Christ or Buddha consciousness kind of body. This is from a general type of mysticism that's been present in the East and West for a while. Is that what that means? Or am I really encountering aliens? Who knows? Who knows? It could go either way. And right now, I say I don't know. That's the most honest answer I can give. But either way, I can say that it was a great experience. And in future episodes of this, I'm going to continue talking about lucid dreaming, and I'm going to put out some articles on how to kind of achieve that lucid state on a regular basis, where the main thing I can tell you about it is that you can have the most beautiful, the most real and powerful experiences of your life. You can learn a lot about yourself, and you can experience yourself as more than just a physical body. Get out of that meat suit a bit. You can have a wonderful time. So basically, I'm not going to overanalyze this one, but I wanted to tell you about one of the types of dreams I have. And that with some practice and with some good techniques, by keeping your mind clear and focused, you can have them too. So, until next time, my friends, goodbye.